Alright, so how's everyone doing? Today's video we are going to be fitting our drawers. So I did one already without you. So we're putting it on side mount slides. I had the slides, which is why I didn't go with a more modern look, kind of like undermount slides. You do sacrifice a little bit of space, but it's nightstands. We don't need to hold too much. So the first thing I'm doing with figuring out how to mount my side mount slides is, let's get you positioned. I am cutting out a template. So I made this out of a piece of scrap plywood, and basically what this does is it references on the bottom, and it's going to ensure that my slides end up in the same spot on both the top and bottom. All right, the only problem is this isn't quite thick enough, so I'm going to make a new template. So we're over here on my favorite saw, and I have my template. So we're going to set the template, or the saw, to the size of the template, and then I'm going to cut it out of this piece of maple cutoff from a tabletop. And this is a good use for this because it's end grain. We see our grains going this way, so this piece is pretty useless for just about anything because it's very strong, weak across the grain. So I'm going to use it for this purpose. So let's set up. Alright, so I'm going to move this finger in. Let's get this set. We are set. Let that down. Now, the other side is the square from the cutoff. So I cut ourselves. And then this little jar, so I have two pieces. Alright, so we're over here. I got my box laying on its side, and I have my two brand new pieces. So let's get this installed. So I can take one, put it in the back, take the other, put it in the front. And we want to check that they're square. And we're going to get this guy in the back. And we can advance that out. And then we're going to use a special bit. This right here is called a VIX bit. And what it does is it has this point shroud over the drill bit part. And this shroud is going to register in these holes that are already in the hinge, or not the hinge, the drawer slide. So I'm going to use this guy, and we are going to drill our first hole. And the perks of a VIX bit is that hole will always be dead in the center of whatever I'm trying to do. I've gone for this lengthways slot just in case I want to do any tweaking later. Now, to put in my screw, I'm going to do something a little special. Normally, when you're putting in a screw, and this Sapele is not that hard, so in reality, I could very easily drive it in with my impact driver, but I like to put in screws by hand in these sorts of things, and I like to dip my screw in a little bit of wax. So we got my screw in some wax. Pop it right there. And because we use that Vicks bit, just double check, make sure we're exactly where we want to be. And I like that. Make sure we're still good. And we can advance this out. We have our next slot. Grab our Vicks bit. We'll dip our next screw in some wax. And let's put that in. And that wax is not going to hurt our connection one bit. So that is one slide installed. Alright, so to put in the drawer, we need to remove these guys. So on all side mount drawer slides, at least the full extension ones, these modern ones, you're going to find this little tab. Push down the tab or pull up the tab if it's on the other side. And that guy pulls right out. Now we go and do the other side. This one we got to push up the tab. And that comes right out. Now we can set our box aside and we can start working on our drawer. So here's our drawer. This is just a dovetailed box that we've made. It's going to have an applied drawer front, so we didn't go super fancy with the drawer construction. So this front basically gets stuck on, and the hardware screws are going to hold it in place. So that'll be the last thing we did. I actually haven't even finished these. I'm going to wait, fit them in place, and then I'll apply finish another time. So fitting our drawer boxes is somewhat simple. So I need to first determine where the slides need to mount on the box. So I've done that before the camera started rolling, and I've set up my combination square. And now if this is the front, I know that my slide has to be sitting this far back. So I'm going to mark that. We know this is the front. Mark that over here also. Actually, we'll make this the front. So alright, so that's been marked. And then same as I wanted a template for my slides in there. I've made a template for my slides here. I don't even know if the camera can see that, but we'll see how it works. So I've cut out this piece of plywood, and I can take that and clamp it right onto my work. And this clamp is kind of overkill, but it's what we have. Let's make sure that that's in the right spot. It's important that everything ends up in the same spot, otherwise your drawer could be crooked. No one wants that. Let's pop our second clamp on. Alright, and I'm feeling your fingers can be a lot more perceptive than your eyes sometimes. And we have our mark for the front. So my front is where the tab is. I pop that guy on. And I line up my tab with my mark. And we're going to get our trusty Vicks bit again. And we are once again using our horizontal, well, use horizontal for that one. We use our vertical alignment slots this time. Alright, so we've got that done. Now we can once again take our screws, and oak is much, much, much harder than our sapele that the case is made out of. So for these guys, we are most certainly going to do it by hand. The last thing I want is to strip out or break off the head of one of these screws. So that wax really, really, really goes a long way in making that screw glide right in there. Really helps a lot. So if you learn one thing from this video, it's wax your screws. Especially if they're going into hardwood. The reason I'm using oak for the box is this is white oak. Some of it is quarter sawn, which makes it very, very stable. And that feels a little bit too tight to me, so we're going to take it out. I want to break a screw head here. And bring back our bit and drill it out a little deeper. Re-wax the screw. You can't really over-wax it. I guess you could, but that's better. So that is driven in. We got our oak drawer box, nice and stable and strong, durable box. I can flip this guy over, and now it's wobbling on that other slide. So we are actually going to recycle this guy. Make a little sandwich. And this isn't completely necessary. This is perfectly doable without that, but if you got it, you might as well use it. Now the reason that I'm waxing the screws and putting them in by hand is because screws are hardened. So unlike a nail, which if you misstrike a nail with a hammer, it just kind of falls over. On a screw, you'll just snap it. And if the screw snaps, that means I gotta go and put a new hole somewhere. Makes it a little difficult to work with my parts. Drawer slides have enough holes in them that if you did happen to break a screw, it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's really a much bigger deal with hinges, but still good practice. Doesn't take that long if you're building a nice piece of furniture. Spend the extra second, few seconds, and give it your best. Alright, so if we've done our job correctly, that should line up there. And that lines up there. And with soft closed drawer slides, you always kind of have to shove it closed the first time. And then look at that. Nice and smooth. Let's pull it out. All right, and our drawer front is gonna go right there. That is just the fit I'm looking for, so that will get attached. And that way, when we have our hardware on there, we pull it out. Catching. And we close her up. And Bob's your uncle. Alright, that's it for now. I hope you guys are enjoying your day, and I'll see you on the next one.